world. It is an international brand. And the really nice thing about the Allicin is that you can formulate it with other active ingredients. And when Dan Putnam came to me and said, well, do you think you could do a formulation for the immune system, specifically for EPX? I said, yeah, I definitely can do that. I've got a couple of agents in mind that will go perfectly with the Allicin. And those two agents are ester C, which I'm sure most of you in the health food industry or in the wellness industry will know all about, probably. It's the most bioavailable and safest form of vitamin C. It has a number of fantastic properties on both the innate and the adaptive immune system. And then I also added in beta-1,3-D-glucan, partly because this is a very good agent at activating the innate immune system. And my presentation in Las Vegas concentrated on why it's really important for all of us who are healthy and for those of us who are not so healthy to make sure that our own immunity to infectious disease is as strong as possible. And I was able to scare the audience with the latest developments in China, where the new coronavirus that is spreading out of China and will come across the world and come into the continental United States in the next few weeks, probably, certainly if not, then in the fall later this year, is now an H7N9 strain of a simple coronavirus from flying birds. So it's another bird flu. But the problem with this particular virus is that it has at the moment a 22% kill rate. So in other words, 22% of people that catch this virus sadly don't make it. And if that were to carry on across the world, you'd be looking at something around 65 to 75 million deaths in the United States alone. I mean, it would decimate Europe, it would certainly decimate the US and Canada. So I'm not trying to scare people, but I'm trying to prove to you that we do need to be careful about what's coming. And if we've got an agent that's available to us, you know, a very cost-effective agent, you can actually protect yourself against that particular threat and lots of other threats that are unfortunately in the world today. I recounted that in 1968, your Surgeon Commander General said that infectious disease was beaten. No one in the world would die from an infectious disease ever again. This statement was completely and utterly wrong, of course. And since then we've had SARS, bird flu, pig flu, we've had Ebola virus, we've had an enormous number of pathogens that may have been introduced deliberately or may have been accidentally introduced by crossing the species barrier. And that means that our immune systems are under intense pressure. I was asked, for example, yesterday about valley fever. Again, very common in the United States, particularly in Nevada, Arizona, the desert states. And that virus is also very susceptible to Allicin. So the combination of Allicin, beta-1,3-D-glucan, and ester C is a perfect combination for stimulating, protecting, and enhancing both the innate immune system, which has no memory, and the adaptive immune system, which we all know and recognize as our ability to ward off one particular host, and if that host comes back again, then we have the antibodies to be able to destroy it again. However, the adaptive immune system doesn't always kick in as quickly as it should do, and therefore there's always a chance that we will catch a cold or get the flu or get a chest infection or get a bacterial infection that's very difficult to get rid of. And the really key feature about the stabilized Allicin is that it's a very good antimicrobial. In other words, it kills virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh, good. That's incredible. I have a really bad broadband signal here in the UK normally, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it'll stay on for the next 30 minutes or so. But anyway, back to the immune product. it has this ability to kill a wide range of infectious organisms. And if you've got the PowerPoint that I believe I posted, I'm pretty new to this, so I'm not sure whether anybody can get access to these files or not yet. But if not, we'll make sure that everyone can view them in the future. I showed in the PowerPoint that the really cool thing about the Allicin and the ester C and the beta-1,3-D-glucan is that when you look at your blood, you can see exactly what your immune system is trying to do for you. So under dark field microscopy conditions, we can look at our own blood under very great detail, and we can see the red cells, we can see the plasma, we can see exactly what's going on in the blood system. We can see whether the red cells are roleoed or stuck together. We can see if the plasma is full of rubbish like viruses or bacteria or cholesterol crystals. And I showed 2 slides that showed some really rather poor quality blood with the plasma loaded with rubbish, and then a picture of what the blood should look like, which was beautiful round red cells, lovely clean plasma. And then a few slides later, in my presentation, I showed the 2 same pictures, but these were before and after treatment with EPX Body Immune. So the key feature about this product is it's really great for your blood supply. It will clean up your blood plasma, get rid of any low-grade infections that you might be carrying, because our immune systems are obviously being attacked all of the time, and you will see the quality of your circulating blood is improved significantly over a longer period of time. And that's on just taking 1 capsule of the immune every single day. So the key feature is that if you take it regularly, 1 a day is all you need, if you're a reasonably fit and healthy individual. If you're slightly immunocompromised like me, I'm a diabetic. I've been diabetic type 1 insulin dependent for 40 years. So I would probably need to take 2 or 3 a day to maintain my maximum immunity to infection. Because if I catch a cold or get a bug, a chest infection, then my immune system suffers much worse than anybody else's, because it's already trying to deal with my diabetes, keeping my insulin levels in tow, making sure that my glucose intolerance is not out of balance, etc. So anybody that's got a concomitant disease will need to take a little more. And if you have an infection like a cough or a cold or a chest infection, there are so many people in the world with bacterial infections with small wounds that they can't heal. These people walk around daily and live with these things every day. Toenail fungus, fingernail fungus, herpes virus. All of these are very, very common infections. All of these problems can be got rid of by using a fairly large dose of immune to get rid of the infection, and then staying on a much smaller, a maintenance dose to keep your immune system fit and healthy, to make sure that you stimulate the white cells. For example, these 3 agents together will increase the number of CD4 T cells, or killer cells, that your own immune system can actually produce. So if you're being infected or being attacked by a virus, for example, if you're on the immune product, you will have more killer cells available to repel that virus as it tries to get into your nose and into your eyes and into your ears and into this area here, where it can start to replicate very, very quickly. So I did show some very interesting data, which is double-blind, placebo-controlled, and that showed that the product works extremely well, that you would reduce the number of infections by more than 60% if you just took 1 capsule a day for the year. Equally, you could reduce the number of days that you had symptoms, and equally you could prevent recurrent infections. And that's the key feature of the immune product, is once you've got rid of a persistent infection, it just won't come back. And that, so long as you stay on a maintenance dose. So that's the other key feature of the product, I think. And then I showed data on MRSA, which, as you mentioned, I believe at the introduction there, MRSA is a major problem in the US at the moment, particularly community-acquired MRSA. You find it at very many sports games. You find it in exercise rooms, on the exercise equipment. Unfortunately, you also find it out in the community on things like bank teller machines. All of your petting animals will carry Staph aureus. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a drug-resistant one, but you need to be aware of that. And the data proved quite clearly that the Allicin with the beta-glucan and the ester C was a fantastic combination for clearing up these types of quite nasty infectious organisms. So you have the ability to treat everything from a simple cold right the way across the spectrum to one of the most pernicious bacterial species known to man. In fact, 3 of the most pernicious species, which are multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, streptococcal pneumoniae, which causes pneumonia, which is actually almost the major cause of people dying from colds and coughs, because they get a super infection and they die from that super infection rather from the flu virus itself. And then the third pernicious bacteria is MRSA, and at the moment there are only 3 agents in the world that will kill multi-drug resistant MRSA. One is a drug called vancomycin, which is so toxic you have to measure blood levels every 15 minutes, otherwise it will kill you. It's pretty horrible stuff. The second is a cream called Bactroban, or Bactrim, I think you may know it as in the US. And that, unfortunately, is 65% resistant now. In other words, 6.5 of the strains out of 10 that you get infected with will never be got rid of with Bactroban or Bactrim. And the third agent is Allicin. And Allicin is the key ingredient in Immune. So you have a really fantastic product. I made it clear to Dan and the audience in Las Vegas that this product it belongs to EPX. There's no other formulation like this, nor will there be a formulation like this. It's a worldwide rights. I believe that Dan is going to introduce it in countries like Ghana and Malaysia and Korea. And I expect to see the product grow very substantially because it works.